The man you're seeing there could be the next Attorney General of Maryland. He is also, by the way, a neo-Confederate white nationalist. Isn't that fun? His name is Michael Peroutka. He's a former county council member, and he beat his opponent, Jim Shalleck, a former state and federal prosecutor. Now, in November, he's gonna go up against a Democrat. That's gonna be, in this case, Anthony Brown. So who is he? Well, until 2014, he served on the board of League of the South, which just on name alone, you probably get a bit of an idea of what they're all about. It's a group which for years has explicitly called for the southern states to secede from the United States. At times, its rationale was explicitly racist. Its website at one point called for secession to save the South's Anglo-Celtic culture against cultural genocide from political correctness and immigration. The League is 100% against the federal government and northern and coastal states. They say they're part of a materialist and anti-religious society that they call the Empire. In recent years, it has increasingly embraced violence, criticized perceived Jewish power, and warned black people that they would be defeated in a future race war. It's so interesting that coming out of a cultural tradition of the Confederacy, that you'd be that eager for another war that you've proven historically to be ill-equipped for, but that's what they're going with. Anyway, this individual, this guy Michael, says he's still angry that Maryland was blocked from seceding during the Civil War. He believes lawmakers should take a biblical worldview and apply it to civil law and government. And up until this point, he has refused to disavow the League of the South. He left the group a few years ago, but he won't actually denounce them now. And think about how weird it is to hold a grudge about the fact that Maryland wasn't allowed to secede during the Civil War, so they would have an opportunity to be on the losing side. That's a weird hill to die on, as so many of his ideological compatriots did during the Civil War. Jessica, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this is exactly like you said during election coverage not too long ago. I think it was last month, where you talked about the death of democracy and how it's not gonna be some cataclysmic event. It's not gonna be dramatic. It's going to be slow. Slowly we'll lose our voice, our rights will be taken away. I think our descent into fascism is going similarly, where Republicans who are neo-fascists are getting elected to public office at the local level in certain races where people aren't really looking at. And one day we're going to wake up and such a significant proportion of our elected officials are going to be this brand of white Christian neo-fascists who hold on to the ideals of the Confederacy. And it's very scary because the Democrats aren't acting like this is happening. Yes, the insurrection was a big flux event, but also, we saw Donald Trump quietly appoint a lot of judges to the courts that are now going to rule in favor of them in many cases. The slow churn of overturning Roe v. Wade was a decades-long effort. And so I think it's exactly like you said about the death of democracy not too long ago.
Yeah, it's one office at a time. And we were talking about the Attorney General of Indiana going after a doctor for doing her legal and ethical obligation in helping that 10-year-old who had been raped to get the abortion that she so desperately needed. These are the offices that they're taking over. They're taking over school boards, they're taking over state secretaries of individual states and attorney generals as well. This guy, he thinks public education is a communist plot. Again, a core part of fascism, you're not supposed to be curious, you're not supposed to learn. Says laws protecting abortion and gay marriage are illegal and unenforceable because they violate God's law, and called the concept of the separation of church and state a great law. And I think that the stakes of a guy like this believing that are pretty clear, but I wanna remind people of what the Attorney General is supposed to do. They're the chief legal officer of the state. They're supposed to deal with what is legal, and he believes what is legal is whatever I, in my deranged state, think the creator of the universe would want, based on my misreading of the Bible. So damn your state laws and your state constitution, damn the US Constitution or federal law. I don't even think the federal government should exist. It's the empire. I'm gonna do whatever I think God thinks. And he will be in charge. He will be able to act on that. And I'm not like Maryland, Maryland isn't California, but it's not Mississippi. Like, he is not going to be reflective whatsoever of the population there, but he could possibly win. This is the danger, by the way, of the Democrats, Biden as their leader and the rest of the Democrats accomplishing so little. This guy should have no chance whatsoever in a normal election. And maybe in the end, he'll lose by 40 points. But do you really want to roll the dice on this? Do you really want to have these be needlessly closer than they would otherwise be, and action produces these sorts of things.
I don't know, he's making communism sound pretty good. Sounds like having any functioning government at all is communism, according to these guys. They've done a really effective job making it seem like any public good deliverance by our government is communism. And that's terrifying, because there are still so many voters who grew up during the Cold War era where they were like, communism is awful. And so if you say it's communism, it must be this awful thing. He's literally just talking about public education. Do you want to pay taxes in to a pool of resources and have those dollars go to fund schools that your children can go to, and everyone in the neighborhood puts in their dollars to go create this school? I mean, we're really going to go back to the founding days of our country, where neighborhoods have to reinvent public schools, where all of the parents in the neighborhood pool their resources to develop public schools. They're really pushing us to reinvent the wheel and just get rid of all government. Having any government at all is communism, and we shouldn't do it. And instead, we're gonna live in a Christian corporate police state. And that will be the United States.
Delightful.